Hey Ummas, welcome to the Old Umma Club. I'm Joyce.
And I'm Sophia.
We are two friends in Los Angeles who had so many great coffee chats about our love for Jesus, being Korean in biracial marriages, and having kids mid-career, mid-30s. So we decided to turn it into a podcast.
So grab a cup of coffee and join our conversations about aching backs, motherhood, marriage, Jesus, and everything in between. You ready?
하나,
둘,
셋, let's go!
Let's go.
Hi Ummas! Today we are talking about eating, feeding our children, the general world of that. But do we or do we not have picky eaters? And what we've been doing to address that, and even the struggles that come with that, like the stress of having a picky eater, and even just maybe the other just general struggles that we're having with feeding our kids, which I feel, especially as parents, that's like all you're thinking about. Like, what's the
Yeah.
next snack? What's the next meal? Like, your days are kind of scheduled around the eating, feeding schedule. So,
Yeah, you're constantly feeding a child from the moment the child is born,
yeah.
every several hours. And it just like encapsulates your day. And if your kid is not eating well, it does create enormous stress.
Mm-hmm.
Daily stress that piles on and on. So I would say that I do have a picky eater, but it's not so much that he's picky. Okay, so it's Tove. Somehow always the first. I have friends with picky eaters and they're all firstborns. That's got to be a firstborn thing. But then I didn't do anything different with Tove or Uri in terms of feeding them. So I'm not doing anything different. I don't understand why the firstborn. I have no idea.
I think the secondborn usually has the example of watching the firstborn of being like, oh, food is safe. Like they watch the oldest eating. And so I think there's like a kind of like a little bit of a normalcy versus like firstborns, they're like watching adults eat it. And I think it's not as relatable as like, you know what I mean? So I think food is still a little bit more of a new thing to them versus like the second has the benefit of watching all the other kids eat, right? Watching the firstborn eat and they're like, oh, okay, that's how you do it. Well, let me just dive in.
Yeah, maybe. I have no idea if
I don't
there's
know.
any research on this. I'm interested.
Yeah.
Okay. So Tove is my like give me stress eater. It is one of my top 10 stress of the day. It's feeding Tove. And it's not so much that he is a picky eater. He is just a under eater.
He's a minimalist in his food intake.
Very minimalist. I just to give you a clue of how little he eats. He is almost 4. He's of average height, maybe even taller than some other kids I know who are slightly older than him. And he's only 28 pounds.
Tight
My
is 28 pounds.
friend has a 1.5-year-old who is 28 pounds and wears a size 5 diaper. And Tove could still fit in a size 3 diaper. And today he wore Uri's year 2 pants. And it fit his waist perfectly. It was more like a caprice, but it fit his waist perfectly. And I can't even fit him in year 3 pants because it just falls right off. That's
Mhm.
how skinny he is. You can see his ribs. You can feel his spine. And he abuses me unintentionally every single day by poking me with a
Pokey elbow appendage.
Yes, the elbows and the knees, and it's just like all bones and it's sharp and it just jabs me. So I feel like I have every justification for this being a big source of stress in my life.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I don't feel like he's starving, but every time I see his bones, it just kind of pains me.
Mhm. I mean, part of it is like, well, one, I will attest to he moves and has plenty of energy despite the fact of under eating.
Literally today, he woke up at 5 a.m., right? And it's like 8 p.m. and he was running, literally running in circles around me after walking for half a mile. Oh, I just heard him kick David in the balls. So that is how much energy. Like this kid, I think even if he eats double what he eats, he will still be burning it all off.
Yeah, he moves a lot. So it's like, I get it. And I remember when he gets sick and he's not eating, I know how much of that stress At least as a
Mhm.
friend, I've like been there too. I know that's like a big point of stress for you too, because he loses weight so much faster because
Yeah.
he doesn't have like as much cushion. I totally understand that. Yeah, I don't have an undereater. I would say he's picky, but more of like sensory picky. So Kian is my picky. So again, the first word.
There we
Yeah.
go.
Tyke right now is a little bit of an undereater at meals, but he snacks and he's kind of a constant grazer. So that's kind of
Mhm.
tricky. Like he's just naturally that person. I think he's going to always just be that person who just kind of
Great.
grazes throughout the day. Part of it is he's so active that he's hungry. Like even if he ate a really large meal, he'll burn it off in like an hour and a half. And so he just needs constant input. Kian is like, he's my sensory kiddo, right? He's on the neurodivergent spectrum. And being on the sensory seeking, but sensory avoidant, he's just more hypersensitive in the sensory realm. He is very particular about how things look, how things touch, what he has on top, how crunchy certain foods are. Like butter is delicious. Even vegan butter, yes, it doesn't taste as good as regular butter, but I mean, like, butter is yummy. And like, butter toast is a yummy snack. He hates it because it makes his bread slightly soggy and it takes away the
Oh.
crunch. And he can tell, like, he can tell, like, first tooth touch impact of the stupid crust. Like, oh no, no. So he eats everything plain, which also stresses me out because protein
So boring.
intake is so hard
Yeah.
to get in because it's so easy if you just put almond butter toast, right? Or like sun butter toast. He'll like sit there scraping it off. I purposely put it on him just for sensory training, like and his anxiety food training. But like he won't eat it. Or today, for example, every Friday night is pizza night. And Ty was eating the pizza and like made a pizza sandwich and like ate the pizza, whatever, right? Kian was meticulously peeling the other side of the bread off, the dry part, so that he didn't have to eat any of the pizza sauce or the cheese. He sat there peeling off, like he flipped it over so the sauce side was down on the plate. And then he was like picking off the bread. And at one point, he's like, oh, the sauce touched the bread. And I mean, when I say sauce, it was like the faintest line of red on it, and he was having a near panic meltdown about it. And I get stressed out. And Tyler, he told me about how like when he was younger, he didn't like his food touching other things.
Mhm.
So I think he like understands a little bit of Keen's food anxiety. And also because if you make it the way you want it and not the way he wants it, he'll outright not eat it. We would rather obviously want him to eat it, but it feeds into his sensory avoidance and like visual stresses. And even like yogurt, I mix in a little bit of almond butter and I put honey on top, and it's honey. You like honey's yummy, and it stressed Kian out to see that the honey was on it. So he wanted one spoon to scrape the honey off, and then he wanted another spoon to scrape the honey off of said spoon so that he could eat the spoon without having the honey touch it. And then he
So
would
he
double
needs
dip like that.
everything to be compartmentalized.
That or the visual input, if it disturbs him visually, because this is like the whole point of him, like in his sensory dysregulation and his sensory integrative issues, it disrupts him. Like it causes his body to just feel unsafe and
Mm.
increases anxiety when he sees certain foods mix. And so then it like visually doesn't do well with him. But he'll eat honey, no problem. If I put it on a spoon, he'll eat the honey. But he doesn't want the honey on the
Into the
yogurt because he doesn't want it touching the yogurt. Yeah, I don't know. But then he'll eat spaghetti with meat sauce. So I'm like, I don't understand.
doesn't make sense. Yeah, he has his own rules.
Yeah, and then you just never know. And like Tyler and I both attend it differently, where Tyler attends to it, where he's like, okay, well, like, he just puts the pasta sauce like on the side, and I'm like, no, no. Classic like Asian. I'm like, no, 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 don't do that. Don't tend to that. Put it on top.
Yeah.
I put it on top, and then Keen will have a meltdown, but he ends up eating it anyways. So I'm like, see, he eats it. Why are you putting it on the side? He eats it. Why do you do this? Why do you make it more stressful for me?
Yeah.
Sometimes I think once he can push through his anxiety and like he can
Mm.
push through the anxiousness, and if he's hungry enough, he'll eat it. So I tend to just tell him, like, just try one bite of it. You're freaking out, but you haven't even tried it. So the rule is like he has to try one bite of it. And if he doesn't like it, then we can push it off and I'll give him another bowl. Or, I was like, you
Mm.
can scrape it off. Sometimes I'll just be adamant and I'll say like, no, part of it is training through his sensory and training through his
Yeah.
anxieties. I'm like, I'm not giving you a new bowl. You can scrape it off. And then I just have to hear him moan and groan. And Tyler's just like so upset with me for not just, and I'm like, no. So he's not so picky in that he'll only eat certain foods, but it's picky as in like how the foods are presented.
That makes sense. And that sounds hard.
You never know what you gonna get. I mean, I think both ends are hard too. Like under eating is stressful because then you're constantly thinking about calorie input. And then
Yes.
like for me, it's like visual input because he might eat it one day, he might not, but also like I don't know if it's gonna cause like a full panic attack, meltdown. But then I'll look at the other one and he's like chowing down and eating half the bowl. So I'm like, all right, it tastes good. I know it tastes good. It's just visually disturbing to my child. Or sensory. He doesn't like that his crunch was taken away.
Okay. Crunchy food, yes. Soggy food, no. Things touching, no.
Yeah, I know. But then sometimes he'll eat it. I don't know. It's like a whole
Sometimes he'll bend. Sometimes he'll compromise.
yeah, if he's hungry enough.
There are times when Tove is hungry and he will eat a lot.
Mm.
And then it completely makes my day. It's crazy how much my mood swings depending on how much Tove ate for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. There was a time when he never ate breakfast at all.
Yeah.
Now he's starting to eat a little bit more, as in like maybe 1 spoon of rice.
Does he snack at all too? Or he doesn't snack either?
We don't give a lot of snacks.
Mm.
And the reason is because if I give him snacks, I know he will not.
Eat any meal.
Stomach is the size of a cherry.
Yeah.
Or blueberry or something because he does get full really easily. Like if he ate an apple before a meal, I know it will impact how much he eats for that.
Yeah.
So even apples, so bananas, even just like fruit, I have to really limit what he eats several hours before mealtime. But when he eats, I'm super happy.
Yeah.
And then when he doesn't, I'm just like angry because he used to be such a good eater. Like when I Korea with him, he was just like slopping up everything. Like he was such a good eater until he turned 2. So before that, I was like so relieved because that was one of my worries that I'm going to raise a picky eater. So from the time he was young, I exposed him to a variety of foods. And then he always ate what we ate. And I had all these rules that I learned from, all of those parenting advice that targets you on social media, right? They have all these rules of how to not raise a picky eater. So I followed all of them. And once he turned 2, it was like just a light bulb switch. He basically just existed on blueberries, just fruit, and maybe some rice here or there. But it seemed like he was barely hungry. And he just kept skipping meal after meal. And you can visibly see the changes in his face. Granted, as you get
Also
older,
getting older. Yeah.
he's not as chubby anymore, but even people were commenting about it. His face is like narrowing. So I wasn't worried at first, but I started getting worried when it was just like week after week of like, how are you still surviving? You've got to be starving. Like you're eating less than when I was in my throes of anorexia.
Yeah.
And so that was when I did everything opposite of what the dietitian advice was for kids, which is like, I just bought popsicles, I just bought all those high calorie food.
You're like, at least if you eat something, let it be high calorie.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And we started putting heavy cream into his milk. We still put heavy cream into his milk.
Yeah.
Because he needs
Some
any
level of fat.
Any way we could insert more calories into his diet. Like I put glugs of like sesame oil on his rice. So that has been very stressful for me because it was something I could not control.
Yeah.
And it was something that I was starting to take pride in, that he was such a adventurous, good eater. And then that just suddenly went away. Yeah, you just cannot force a kid to eat. That's the most exasperating part of this, is that even if I physically force food into his mouth, he would just spit it out.
Yeah.
And that was one thing that also drove me crazy. He spits out so much of his food. He would chew, and if he doesn't like it, or if the texture's wrong, or he just decides he doesn't want it.
Yeah.
He just say, I don't like it, but you liked it yesterday. Like, I don't
conundrum of this age. I mean, does your pediatrician have like concerns about it? Or they're like, he's on the curve line, so we're okay because he's on the curve line?
So the thing is, because he's always been underweight,
Ah.
he's always like on like what, 2-5%. Tao So she's just like, well, he's still within the 2%
She's like, he's
so
consistent.
yeah.
She's like, I don't know.
I also think we have a good pediatrician where I can sense that she really hates fear mongering.
Yeah.
She always tries to assuage and
Yeah.
not give parents reason to be worried.
Yeah.
Because parents worry about everything,
Right.
right? We just find things to
Yeah.
worry about.
And especially with nowadays, we have way too much exposure to worry about everything.
100%.
Yeah.
Too much.
Yeah. Too much.
Yeah. So she hasn't really raised alarm about it, but she will mention, hey, he's lean. He's a lanky fellow.
Yeah.
Understatement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it would be definitely way more concerning if he wasn't eating that much and he was like becoming lethargic and he just doesn't have energy. But the kid has
No.
plenty. So clearly his body is,
And
he's growing.
growing
He's
taller.
growing.
So yeah. And his brain is working. So that's where I'm not worried,
Yeah.
but I do get frustrated
Yeah.
because number one, I love feeding people.
Yes.
I
Yes, you
bake
do.
I bake good things. Like I
Yes.
bake good cookies, I bake good cake. I make carrot cake with cream cheese frosting
Carrot cake with cream cheese
yesterday.
frosting's the best.
Yes. And I make sugar cookies and I make scones and I make my own bread. He refuses to eat all of it. If it comes out of the oven, freshly baked, wonderfully warm, smelling like a baby,
and the crunch and the
right?
heat and the
Right?
steam. Oh.
Like all completely homemade.
Yeah.
And nope, he would rather have a stupid muffin in the package that tastes like crap. That's filled with cancer-giving additives and like preservatives. Like why are you choosing cancer? Like
Okay, for any mom who's listening, who gives kids, I give kids packaged muffins, okay? So don't worry, we're fine. I would definitely rather have the freshly baked. If I'm offered freshly baked muffin, though, I'm gonna take that over preservative muffin because it doesn't taste the same. 100%.
I do eat packaged muffins because I like the muffin top. But it's definitely not as good as homemade.
Not as
Okay.
good.
And cookies too. Like
cookies, the goo, when you like break it apart.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I don't understand this kid. And sometimes I'm like, you are just doing this on purpose to drive me crazy. And I even tried to like disguise it and like keep a wrapper. And like put it in there. But
like, oh look,
I
took
know
it out of the muffin. He's like, isn't that the same muffin on the counter? You're like,
it doesn't work.
No, it's
It
not.
work.
I will say, so Kian, maybe on top of the picky eating, he has a very refined palate. So he doesn't like prepackaged. For those of you, like I've mentioned before, like Kian has food allergies. And the thing with food allergies is you have to maintain exposure. But the plot twist is because Kian had the food allergies when I was breastfeeding, I had to maintain a very clean diet. And I have a milk allergy, but I used to just eat some things that had milk to maintain some level of immunity. But because I had to be so clean on like the top 9 allergens in my diet for breastfeeding, my milk allergy became really severe. So I'm supposed to like make pancakes and waffles and like muffins to maintain Kian's milk immunity. But it causes a pretty severe reaction on me, even just to handle the milk. Like even formula. Like when I was at the NICU with Owen, the formula started dropping in my hand and I started getting like reactions from the formula dripping down my hand. So I don't want to risk it because every time I've like made pancakes, inhaling it, like I start getting like wheezy, my tongue will swell, my whole face gets really itchy. So I can't make it without risking my body going an inflammatory process. So when I'm breastfeeding, I'm very picky about how my body is like inflamed. And so I just have to buy pre-made waffles, pre-made pancakes, pre-made muffins that I know are allergen safe. But Kian has a refined palate. So if it tastes preservative, like the muffins, like chocolate chip muffins that come from a pre-package, will not touch it. Because it doesn't taste as good as a homemade muffin if we made it at home.
He knows the real deal. You can trick him
and
on
then
that.
he can't even like, if I freeze it and I thaw it, he doesn't like it because it doesn't taste as good. He can pick up on that slight freezer burn taste. He can taste it. It is maddening. He's like, no, I don't like that because I can taste the freezer. And I'm like,
hello, princess.
Are you kidding me? And I'm like, I'm gonna give it to Tiger. I was like, at least Tiger will eat it.
My goodness, I feel bad because Uri will eat. So she's my good eater. She hasn't turned 2 yet,
Fingers
so
crossed.
yes, finger crossed. Who knows? But she is still a good eater. And I feel bad because we gave her a lot of toast leftovers. Like tofu wouldn't touch his breakfast, right? So I just dump it into a little container, and then here's your lunch, Uri.
You know what? It's fine. Yeah, I wouldn't feel bad. It's like that's the same thing as eating leftovers. So at the same time, it's like at least he didn't
Yeah.
touch it. It's not like you're giving her like what he ate, and like there's like slobber all over it. It's like
No, sometimes
nimble.
he eats a few bites, and I'm
Yeah.
like, "That's fine."
That's fine. That's the same thing as
But
regular
part of the
leftovers.
thing okay, another thing that drives me nuts is the amount of waste.
Yes.
Like, I hate scraping so much food
I
into the
know.
trash.
I've thought
Um,
about food composting, but you have to actually, I don't want to food compost because I don't garden. But I was thinking of finding people who compost because I
mm,
think people will actually pick up your food compost and then take it. Because same thing, like the waste and dollar signs that you see
yeah,
as you're scraping the
I
food
know.
into the trash can. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like $6 of berries.
That's how I do calculate it. Like, it's
Yeah.
like every time, especially with fruit.
Oh, raspberries and
Mhm.
blackberries,
Yeah.
strawberries.
And I'm like, "Okay, this is like $4.50. Just put it down the drain." I mean, a lot of times I try to eat it, but when he spits things out, this is why I get so
Yeah, it's
frustrated with
gross. You can't eat
him.
the spit out.
I can't eat it. Like, I
Blah,
would have
blah,
eaten
blah,
the
blah.
leftovers, but now nobody can eat it.
Yeah.
Or like when he mashes things with his
Yes.
fingers and he just plays with
Yes.
his food, and he's just become this goo.
Yeah. I feel bad because like Tig will do things where he'll like mash up his food and the Kian will see Tig's doing it. And so he'll try to be silly and do it, but we'll yell at Kian. But to be fair, also, Tig will do it and then he'll eat it as he's like mashing it and he'll eat the thing that
Really?
he's mashing, right? So we don't get as
Okay,
mad
he was
because we're like,
eating
he's
uh-huh.
eating it. But Kian just mashes it for the sake of being silly and it's food waste. And I'm like, so we're like,
Yeah.
don't do it. He's like, but Tig does it. And we're like, Tig's actually eating it. You're just crushing it. And now we can't do anything with that food that you just completely made a weird pile out of because it's not
Yeah,
leftovers and it's completely destroyed food.
yeah.
We can't eat.
I totally get it. I try to think of it at least this is this sensory play. This is like a motor development, gross,
Yeah.
whatever, fine gross skills, whatever you call
Fine
it.
motor skills. You're like, these are
Fine
fine
motor
motor
skills. There
skill
you go. Yeah.
development. Yeah. These are fine motor finger tasks. He's gonna be a great
Yeah.
piano player someday.
When I'm conscious about it, I actually do have to pray before each meal because
Mm,
it gets very frustrating because not is there just the not eating part and the picky eating part, but it's also the behaviors of Tove constantly climbs up the table.
oh yeah.
And for me, it's like way overstimulating because
Yes.
he's got his face right in mine and he's like reaching across the table, he's making a mess, and just the whole energy. You know how like when there's someone with too high energy next to you and it's mealtime and you just want some peace?
Yes.
And it's just like it's so triggering for me. I get so impatient. That's when I start getting snappy. I'm like, sit
Mhm.
down, get your butt down. Like how many times, like sometimes, like in my worst moments, I'm like slamming my hand on the table. I told you to get down.
Yeah.
And then he would like slide underneath the table. And then he's like kicking at my chair, kicking at Woody's chair. Like, the behavior problems when it comes to feeding our children is another source of stress for me.
Oh, I know. The battles, like when they are all in the high chair and they're at that point of like maybe transitioning out of the high chair, but you're trying to keep them in the high chair and they're just screaming and they're fighting you and then they're like
Mm,
thrashing and you're like, oh. And then once they're out of the high chair, the stress of getting them in and out, and then you're like, stop touching things. 2, eat your food. Just finish eating your food. And like 3, I'm like, why can't we just have a quiet meal? I don't want it. I want to enjoy my meal. You don't have to eat your meal, but I want to enjoy my meal at least, please.
This is why I have my main meal of the day after the kids go to bed.
Oh my gosh, y'all. Whenever we're recording on podcasts, we'll finish and it's like 10 o'clock at night. And then Sophie's like, I need to go eat my dinner. And I'm like, what is happening?
Well, actually, yesterday I was solo parenting and I just didn't even have time to eat. And most of the time, like it's hard for me to eat when David's not around. At least with David, he eats very fast.
Yeah.
And then he's already cleaning up while I'm still eating. And I'm a slower eater. And then when I'm solo parenting, because there's no one to
Yeah.
mind the kids too, it's like Tove will
Way
go
more
across the
chaos.
table.
Yeah.
He's putting his hands into my food. Like it's just too much and I get overstimulated. So in order for me to curb any reasons for me to get ragey at my kids, I just try to remove all of that. So either I'm just kind of munching while I'm already cleaning, or I just don't eat until they go down to bed. That's
Yeah.
kind of how it
That's
is.
fair. I usually do that too, where it's like if I'm by myself, because part of it is just it's stressful. Like, because the kids are running around, they're gonna eat, they eat less, so they finish before you, and then you're trying to enjoy your meal, but then it's just
Mhm.
stressful, and then you che because
Yeah.
you're like
맞아.
stressed
해,
out.
맞아.
And then you're like, now like, okay, now cheheso. I was like, great, now I'm gonna have diarrhea later. But like it's just stomach pains, and then I'll eat small portion, and then after they go to sleep, and I feel like whenever you're solo parenting too, it's like they decide to go to sleep at like 9 p.m. instead of like their normal, you know what I mean? So you're already ragey because everyone's tired.
For me, it takes so much longer for them to go
Mhm.
to bed because there's so much more things that I need to do by myself, like cleaning
Mhm.
up, vacuuming the house because there's always sticky stuff by the end of the night. Even when I vacuumed and cleaned a few hours before, after
Yep.
dinner, there's always some
Yep.
sort of residue. And then for some reason, like the kitchen counters are disgusting, the dining table is disgusting. And then while I'm cleaning up, the kids are making messes.
Right.
So I'm like
You're
cleaning up
undoing
more.
everything you're cleaning.
Yeah. This is why my danger zone is the evening time when I'm already tired. I just want them to go to bed. I just want to like chill out. But then it kept getting longer and longer and longer because they have hands and legs and they run around and they pull things out and they dump things
Mhm.
everywhere. And we talked about discipline, but this is one of the things that I'm still working on with my kids.
It's also just the age that they are, right? Like, I feel like at this age too, things are happening faster than you can
Yes.
even register as an adult. And unless you are thinking 4 steps ahead and you're home completely toddler proof, which means putting everything 6 feet above, there's absolutely no doors and no drawers and no baskets anywhere. And the kids can't touch anything, which would be a boring house for a child. There's just like no way that you can avoid some sort of mess that's going to happen. But like end of bedtime, post dinner, getting like the hour leading up to dinner is so much stress and chaos. And then after dinner, like the rush from dinner to bedtime is like high stress, not just for you, for many, many people. I think it's the most stressful because everyone's
Yeah.
tired, the easiest to dysregulate, easiest
Mhm.
time to get overstimulated, and easiest time to get like overtired depending on
Yeah.
how the schedule goes.
Yeah. Most of my mom rage moments are those days,
Yeah.
the evening times,
Yeah.
where the day keeps lengthening and lengthening. I feel like I have no control and then I
Mhm.
just lose it. And then the kids are like more dysregulated during that time
Right.
too.
Right.
I think one of the things that has helped me that we just implemented not too long ago, maybe a month ago, is that now when David gets off work, that's when I start cooking instead of me having dinner prepared when David gets
Yeah.
off work. So
Yeah.
then, so David gets off work at 5 and he takes the kids and he bathes them while I'm
Oh, interesting.
while yeah,
Yeah.
so we do bath time before dinner time. It sounds counterintuitive, but it just works for us
No, it
right
works for
now.
you. That's cool.
Right? Because then I get to cook dinner without multiple interruptions and then getting frustrated because kids are making a mess while
Yeah.
and they're running all around me
Yeah.
and I'm tripping over
Yeah.
their toys and it's just the prime conditions for mom rage.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things that I worked it out. Like I really need to remove all of these things that create unnecessary stress for me. So that was one thing we implemented recently, and it has really helped.
Yeah.
Like that's the time when I actually get to listen to my audiobook. I'm listening to David Copperfield right now. So I do that while I'm cooking. I honestly only get 15 minutes before a naked child runs out.
But those are
um,
glorious 15 minutes.
they like run out the moment they get out of the shower, just naked, running back to me. I'm like, why? Just stay like away. Why do you have to come to me?
Tyler laughed because so Tyler in our house actually is the one who makes dinner most times now. Before it was me, but when I was the one primarily making all the meals and I made dinner, I always did it when Tyler got off of work because it was just too hard and chaotic. Part of it is also preschool pickup was like at 4:30. So I'm like rushing to get preschool pickup and then coming back and I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be able to get dinner. And like I have all the kids and it's just like chaotic and it was just so stressful. So we now eat dinner like at 6 o'clock because I would have to wait until Tyler gets off work before I start cooking. And then now Tyler cooks the dinners and then that's obviously when he finishes his work. But one time I remember Tyler was cooking and the kids, I had like Owen in my arms and like the kids were downstairs and I was like coming to the kitchen just for myself. There was no reason to have any child with me except for Owen because obviously I'm just holding him. And then I'm walking and then you just see like the kids, Kian and Tiger just following me. Tyler's just cracking because he's like, oh, they're like little ducklings. Because like everywhere I went, they just trailed me. And he was just like, they're just following me.
I
And I
can
was like,
see it. Yeah.
why are we? I'm like reenacting this holding a baby. I'm like, why are you following? Just sit on the couch. Sit on the couch. Everywhere.
I know. This seems really typical because like even when we're out as a family, David's right there. Like it's like Amma, Amma, Amma. Like both kids, Amma. Yeah. They never say Appa. He says Amma, Amma. You know what's funny is that I'm stressed out because Tove is under eating, but then sometimes there are little stresses that I feel like Uri's overeating because this girl is a bottomless pit. And I actually sometimes worry that her stomach will burst because she eats so much. Just like non-stop snacking. She will eat her food and she will eat all of Tove's food. And right after that, she still has snacks. I don't know where it goes.
They actually have the most amount of growth right now. And like right around 3 and 4, like right around 3, like that 2 to 3 is when it starts to slow down. So I'm not surprised that she's eating like that much. Tig was like that too. And then once he hit like 2, like your growth curve starts to slow down. They're not growing as rapidly. So Tig, I noticed he was like Uri, where he was just eating all the time. And then we would actually give him Kian's leftovers too, because he would like eat all his dinner. And I'm like, all right, well, we'll just eat the food that your brother didn't eat. That's fine. But then like right around 2 is when I noticed like he started being more interested in moving than eating.
But Uri moves plenty as well. She's actually she's still on the lower percentile for her body weight, which I'm very surprised about.
Honestly, it makes me wonder how big kids are. I mean, he's I think average, and he's like 20 something pounds, whatever. But whenever we get him weight, they're all like, oh yeah, he's like 30th percentile. And I'm like, 30th percentile? How big are 2-year-olds nowadays? You know what I mean? I'm like, dang. I was like, these kids are tanks. And to be fair, from what I've learned in school, from my background, but those curves shift a little bit, like with time, depending on what the average. So once they start seeing a crazy average and kids are getting bigger and bigger, they'll shift it just a little bit. Because kids back then, we were not getting as big as kids now because food and accessibility was definitely not as about like possible. So the curves have shifted a little bit because kids are getting more access to food. Unfortunately, access to more unhealthy foods as well.
Yeah. I'm curious if you have food rules for your children besides for allergy. But I have friends who are very health conscious with their kids, and they like even to parties, they will pack their own snack so that it's healthy. With the whole Maha movement, I'm seeing a lot of content of like everything has to be made from scratch. I don't know. There's just a lot of fear mongering on
health.
Yes. Like
on nutrition.
Seed oils are bad now, even though I did my research. I'm like, I haven't seen clear evidence that seed oils are bad for you.
No, they actually show better results. Like if you actually look at cardiovascular risks, seed oils actually have more protective results than like non-seed oils.
Right now, Costco is selling beef tallow because people are avoiding seed oils. And then now chips are made with avocado oil and they cost a lot more because they have avocado oil. And I have friends who are like, oh, we don't go to this restaurant anymore because we found out that they grill the chicken in canola oil. But
that's what makes it taste good. But
again, what I'm saying is that there is so much health information out there that is so easily accessible.
Mhm.
And even if you're not on social media, you're going to hear your friends talking about it.
Mhm.
And I feel like that just creates a lot of extra stress
Mhm.
when it comes to feeding our children, because
Mhm.
obviously we want our children to be healthy. We don't want
Mhm.
our children to have cancer or deal with obesity, or on the flip side, eating disorder. I'm very conscious about it because that's my history. But yeah, I'm just curious if you have certain philosophies or rules about food and feeding your children, and or maybe that has changed over the years.
I think so Kian with his food allergies, we couldn't give him a lot of food. So he naturally by default was eating really healthy at the very beginning because we couldn't give him any of the top 9 allergens until he got tested. And it was very slow process of what we can give him. So I think my mentality was a little bit of a difference in that I always had to keep him away from things. And I always
Mm,
felt bad because he couldn't get to do what other kids did. And it's not to say that, would I have given him like all these crazy store bought cupcakes and all the time and stuff? No, like I think there's within reason. So I think for me, my like my heart was just always kind of really sad because we go to birthday parties and
yeah.
sometimes we just have to leave because even if they didn't serve the cupcakes yet, I'm watching all the kids eat the cupcakes and they're touching things all over the place. And so we're like, it's a safety issue. And also, Ian's like, "Can I have a cupcake?" And he would ask me, like, "No, sorry, buddy, like, we can't." And like, I would try to bring my own stuff to give him. So a level of like exclusion has made me feel bad. So, like, when we are able to include him in things, even if it's like quote unquote unhealthy or like it's junk food, I give him that opportunity because he actually doesn't have a lot of those moments that he can have. But do I give my kids candy? Yeah, I give my kids candy. But do I also give my kids fruit? I give my kids fruit. I think a well balanced exposure to elements. Like they eat protein, they eat fruit and fiber, they get plenty of like carbs, whole grains, and yeah, they eat candy. We obviously don't like let them go crazy and eat like 45 packs of gummy bears, but if they ask for it, we give it to them. I've seen benefit for me personally, not for like other people, but I think for me personally, letting them explore in like eating a donut and eating cupcakes because they show their own self-restraint. The only rule we do is like we just try not to put things on a pedestal because then it
Yeah.
creates like a glory factor, right? So whatever he can eat that is safe within reason with his allergies, then we let him have it and he eats it like regularly enough that he'll eat a fourth of a cupcake and he's like, "Oh, I'm good." Or he eat a couple bites of a donut and he's like, "I'm good." And he's learned his own self-moderation. And I never taught that to him.
Yeah. Intuitive eating.
Yeah, and I just let him do it. Overall, yeah, we don't really have hard eating rules. More just of like, let's just make sure it's all balanced. Like when they get candy on Halloween or like Easter egg hunt, whatever, I'll probably let them go crazy on the baskets, like eat several bags, together. But then afterwards, they forget about it. Like we let them eat whenever they ask for it, but then they just forget about it and then I put it away. But the only thing is, I have to weigh pros and cons of his sugar intake and like added sugar
Mhm.
because it flares up his eczema.
Mm,
And when it flares up his eczema, it makes him more pro food allergy trigger.
interesting.
So I
Okay.
have to like weigh it out a little bit. There's a balance for me of letting him be a kid and be excited. He just had Easter egg hunt and he got to have all these candies and like let him enjoy that moment, but also not let him go off the rails because then we'll start seeing his eczema start flaring up within the same day almost. And then if his eczema gets stuck in an inflammatory cycle and we can't cut it because he keeps eating too much sugar, then it makes him more food reactive.
So it sounds like you guys have enough anxiety about food
I know.
with your kids for you to want to add extra stress.
Yeah, I think part of it is like Kian already has so much food anxiety because of his allergies too.
Mhm.
And it's hard because it's like, I just feel bad because it's like we go somewhere and there have been times where we walked into a birthday party that he's so excited about. And then we see his allergens. And it's like totally fine if the allergens are there, but people are eating off of it. And it's like people are touching everything and it's just everywhere. And so we've walked in where we've all have to be like, "I'm sorry, kid. Like, we have to go and like we'll pull him off. And he's so sad and he's disappointed, but he also understands when it comes to his food allergies, like it's a safety issue and his life issue. So he understands that, but it's hard. So I think for Tyler and I, because we just feel so sad of like having to exclude him more than include him, that when we can find ways to include him, that's like relatively what all the other kids do. He gets to have it. Like he got to have his first churro ever at Disneyland.
Oh,
And he was so excited, but unfortunately he like had a reaction to it. So
darn
it
it.
was like,
Really?
yeah.
What?
So
Maybe there was a nut product?
no, I don't think he has a strong enough milk immunity to the churro
Oh,
because it's
yeah, because that
fried.
is milk-based, yeah.
Yeah, so we're trying to figure out if it's the churro or not, but it definitely like he ate it, and it's the only thing I could think of. And like later on, as the day went on, he just started getting really itchy, and he just started getting splotchy, and his rash started spreading. But it was, it presented as an eczema flare up. So we were trying to figure out like, is this his eczema or
Mm,
is this his milk?
mm,
Like,
mm.
is this a milk reactivity that we're getting from him? So again, then I just felt bad because the next day he's like, "Can I get a churro?" And I had to say no because your body's not as immune to it as we thought it was. And we have to kind of work on that a little bit more before you can have it. So yeah, I think because of that, there's a little bit of that sadness and guilt that like wherever we can include it, where we're like, yeah, man, go ham within
Uh,
reason.
yeah, it is said that at such a young age, he already sees food as safe and unsafe.
Yeah, like we went into a bakery and he like knows automatically like, does this have my allergens? Does this not? And like even Costco, like Costco has that giant nut aisle, but it's like we have to go through that to like get certain parts of the store. And so I'll say like hands in, and then they all put their hands in, and Keen will put his hands in his pocket to make sure he doesn't like accidentally touch something that he might have an accidental reaction to. It adds a whole other element of like stress. Like grocery shopping is stressful. Going out to eat is stressful. We don't go out to eat anywhere except for like 3 restaurants. And going to parties, I've probably lost a few friendships because I said no to their invites so many times. And it's
Oh,
because there's just no way that we can go and it's safe. Like it could be potentially safe, but it's stressful. Like Tyler and I
yeah.
can't enjoy where we're
Yeah.
at because our eyes are on Kian and we're tracing everyone's hands. Like I am literally watching what people eat and then I'm watching what they touch and then I'm watching where Kian touches and I'm like calculating like, is he going to touch that or is he not? I'm watching little kids. Little kids don't eat the same way as adults do. And, I'm watching what they're touching and I'm watching what Kian's touching. And then I'm like, it's just so much anxiety that we would rather say no. Or we come in, say hi to the party, 15 minutes, bounce, like before everyone gets there and starts eating. So he lives his life pretty anxious because of his food. I think also Tyler and I are anxious people and we kind of probably push the anxiety a little bit too hard versus like giving him a little bit more bravery and courage of like, you don't have to be scared of peanuts, but you have to be safe around peanuts. But also, it makes me sad that at that age, he has to learn to be a pretty strong advocate for himself. Like he's had to advocate pretty strongly, like when like at school, and he went to a preschool that was nut free. But one time, a parent forgot, and a kid packed peanut butter and jelly to school, and it's a peanut free school. And Kian caught it, and Kian was the first one like who noted it. And when the teachers called me, they're like, Kian's having a reaction. We have no idea why. And like when Kian FaceTimed me, which was like one of the scariest moments ever because his face was so swollen, like I couldn't see his eyes. The first thing he says is like, "Oh, so and so had peanut butter and jelly," and the teachers were like, "There's no way," and they said, "No, no, Kian, he didn't have it," and Kian's like, "Amma, he had peanut butter and jelly," and I was like, "I believe Kian, he doesn't lie." And then eventually they're like, okay. And like Tyler's on the way driving there. And the teacher, after they hung up, called the parent. And then the parent was like, "Oh yeah, I gave him peanut butter and jelly." The teacher's like, "What are you doing? This is a peanut-free school. You've been going here for like 3 years. You know this is a peanut-free school." And I had to ask him, like, "Did you touch him? Did you eat it?" And he's like, "No." But that's how sensitive he is. It's like he
He was just
didn't.
in the vicinity. Yeah.
Yeah, he started reacting to it. So unfortunately, we put a lot of anxiety on it, but he's also had a lot of incidences where it creates anxiety and he understands the gravity of it, that he also carries that anxiety.
It's a completely understandable situation.
Yeah.
It is hard on all the individuals involved.
Yeah, and it's not just, like, at parties. I think that's what's hard for people to understand is I'm like, when we go out in public areas, like parks, I'm watching Kian like a hawk.
Yeah, I'm at the park with you and I see it.
Yeah, I'm like my eyes are on him at all times because it's like I know people are eating peanuts at the park, and then those kids are now touching everything at the playground. And a lot of individual people don't realize like the cross contamination is pretty quick. You can touch the peanut once, and everything you touch for the next hour will be cross contaminated. So a kid eats peanuts, they touch everything in that playground in an hour, that entire surface is cross contaminated. Kian touches that and he happens to touch his eye, his nose, his mouth, he touches his food to eat it, he'll have a reaction and we won't know what it's from. So I think that's like what's hard is like depending on how sensitive you are, like, he's like had reactions to residues from touching something out surface, like out in public area. And I think that's hard for people to understand is like food allergies goes beyond just a simple moment of food consumption. It can happen from contact as well and inhalation for some people.
Yeah. I learned a lot just by being your friend, Joyce,
Mm,
because I never had exposure to people with serious food allergies. When I first immigrated to the US, that's when I first heard of a peanut allergy.
yeah,
But then I've never met anyone with actual peanut allergy. But then I always just assume, oh, so that person will just avoid eating peanuts. Like that was how simply I thought of it. And then I have friends who have gluten sensitivity.
yeah,
But then again, the adults, they just choose to not to eat things with gluten in it. They are cautious about what they eat outside. But knowing you and knowing the story with Kian was the first time I realized, wow, this is very serious and this is terrifying for the parents. It has been a good educational experience for me because I came in knowing nothing and then now I come being a lot more conscious of it. But even then, it's still not a constant consciousness, right? I
right,
think it's only conscious when I actively think about it
right.
and then end up making mistakes. So, like one time after church, our church gives us snacks, and Tove has this puffs
Hmm.
that they give out. I forgot the name of it.
Yeah,
Oh,
the pirate's booty. Yeah,
Captain Booty. And I never even thought to look at the ingredients. So I didn't even know that it had dairy products in it.
yeah.
But Kian's right there, and Toby's munching on his captain's booty. And I saw Tyler kind of get nervous.
Hmm.
That's when I was like, oh, I should check what is actually in Captain's booty because I didn't even know that it had dairy. So that was again, that's the kind of the consciousness that I have to keep reminding myself as someone who has friends with this, but it is a constant learning experience.
Yeah.
But I have to say too that Joyce, you've always been really gracious, even when your friends make mistakes. I really admire and appreciate that about you.
Mm, thank
That
you.
if it was me, I think I would be so frustrated and angry. I already explained this to you. How did you forget? But you always meet people with empathy and not assuming bad intentions. So I want to call you out for that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think part of it is like I appreciate when like friends like you who make such an effort, and I understand when you don't live in that world, it's very hard to understand the level of microscopic attention that we pay attention to. So we don't expect other people to have that level, right? So the fact that you and other people will come ask and double check like means so much to me because there are other people who haven't done that and have brought allergens into our home, and that is honestly one of the scariest things a person can do is bring one of Kian's allergens into our home because it's like the sanctity of our home has been ruined, right? And some people who've done that like didn't understand why Tyler and I were flipping out about it, and I was like, you just made our home unsafe. This was the one place that we do not have to
Mhm.
worry, and now I have to sanitize every surface you have touched,
Yeah.
which is literally everything from the front door all the way up until the kitchen. And so when people make an effort to try to do right for us, like that means a lot. And you're going to make mistakes, but it's like, that's okay. The fact that you're even trying is like so meaningful to us.
Well,
So,
one thing I did learn, and I never even thought, okay, this is how ignorant I was, and still probably am, but it was Uri's first toll,
mhm.
and I didn't think to ask I'll invite what allergies you have. But then I was thinking, oh, I already know my friends who have allergies. But then I remember I completely forgot about Tyler allergy.
Because Tyler's
Like I was
allergies get
so,
tied in with Will's allergies, so we never talk about Tyler's allergies.
but I was so concentrated more on Kian
Yeah.
and then you about dairy and nut
Yeah.
that I forgot that Tyler actually I didn't even know that he was that severely allergic to salmon
Yeah.
because I had
And red
mentioned we
snapper.
had talked about his fish allergy, so I knew he had a fish allergy, but there were times when there were comments that was like, "Oh, he'll be fine." Like, so I was like, "Oh, he has an allergy, but it's mild. He just needs to avoid it." I made assumptions. That was my first mistake. I made assumptions, and I never actually knew that he was severely allergic to salmon. And guess what we had? We
Yes.
had a whole
Giant
platter,
salmon.
huge salmon. Yeah, you didn't even know until after the fact. And then, oh my God, sorry, I didn't tell you this, but I thought about it for weeks. I was just so
Oh.
mortified. I was like, oh my goodness. Because I realized what my mistake was. I should have double checked, triple checked, not make assumptions because I thought I already knew what your allergies were. But then I forgot one integral member of your family. So I'm so
No,
sorry.
it's so fun. You know, like, but the fact that, like, I think it's still meaningful for me, the fact that you even care that much. Because even like one time there was a Instagram influencer I follow, and she was asking about birthday party rules and stuff. And like, she's like, what do you guys do? What are formalities that you like to see? And I wrote on there and I said, like, I think it would be meaningful for people to ask what food allergies there are and to try to accommodate that. And the amount of people who responded back and said, that's just too hard, you're asking too much, I was like surprised and like
Mm.
really caught off guard. It's just that people don't want the inconvenience. A lot of people don't want inconvenience. And it's like, the statistics on bullying on food allergies is kind of scary. 1 in 5 kids who have food allergies report being bullied with their food allergies, like threatened with their
That's
allergies.
so sad. Oh my
And a
goodness.
lot of it is coming from parent education. And it's a lot coming from how the parents speak about their classmates. Like, oh,
Mm.
just don't invite Susie because she has that food allergy and I just don't want to deal with it. And so, like, the way that the parent may speak around it and address it, but it broke my heart to see so many kids actually be threatened. Like one girl talked about another friend of hers in a group got mad at her about something. And so then the next day threatened her with the food allergy. And like, I was like,
My
oh,
God.
that's terrifying. Like, obviously, the parents like reprimanded her and like she had to like advocate for herself. But bullying is already something that it's like always on my mind because I've been bullied like all throughout elementary school and middle school and high school, even. And that then to know that there's a whole other niche of like food allergy bullying was like so stressful for me to like learn about that. It's like 1 out of 3 or 5 kids with food allergies report being bullied. And it also includes teachers. Like 20% of those kids reported that their teachers were the ones who were bullying them because the teacher just didn't want to deal with the safety precautions that comes with it.
They see people's issues as
Yeah,
inconvenience.
versus like seeing it as like a life threatening, life risk, safety issue.
I think
So,
a lot of it is ignorance though,
yeah.
not willful cruelty. I mean, sorry to harp on Koreans, but like if you tell the Korean vegan, they'll still put fish sauce
Yeah.
on everything, right?
Mhm.
It's like it's not a big deal. Like I've heard comments of like, why are they flipping out over so much? Just
Mhm.
chill, and then your kid will be fine. That kind of comment works. Like, why are you so drama?
Yeah. My mom has even said that to me because one time she made kongju, but she put peanuts in it and
Um,
forgot and then brought it to our house. And I almost fed it to Kian because she's like, oh, make it for Kian. There's nothing in there. And then I called her later on just to like double check on something else. And then while I'm talking to her, she's like, oh, actually, oh yeah, like you know what? Don't give Kian that. There's actually peanuts in it. And I was like, do you understand what you just did? One, that would have killed him. And I was like, two, you've just contaminated. And she's like, oh, well, just like save the container. I'm like, I'm not saving that container. That container is getting tossed outside the house. She's like, but that's a really good container. And she's like, Joyce, like, I think you're just being too difficult, like, about this. And I was like, no, you weren't the one seeing what happens when he gets
mhm.
exposed. You've never seen it. So you don't get to tell me that I'm being too difficult. when it's my child's life on the line. No, you don't get to tell me that I'm being overreactive because I have watched like what has happened from it and it's been horrible. You don't understand like how serious it is until you either hear stories firsthand or you see it and it's like you really don't want to be in the situation of seeing it firsthand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, it's really stressful on that. So thankfully, Kian has been slowly growing out of his allergies like a champ. And he's been taking it, I think, as gracious as he can as a 4-year-old navigating really serious food allergies. But yeah, it definitely puts like food anxiety anywhere we go, everywhere we go. I'm that person like at Costco or like at like grocery carts, like crazy wiping down all the carts. And people probably think, oh, she's scared of COVID. COVID's over. I'm like, no, it's because of you people who eat and touch the carts. I'm like wiping everything down.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. It is hard to live with that knowledge that there is danger anywhere that in the most innocuous
Mm-hmm.
places.
Yeah.
That's a level of stress I haven't been able to experience, but I can only imagine.
Yeah. So, okay. When you asked me, Sophia, about whether or not we have any rules, it opened up the whole conversation about food allergies. And we kind of took a huge segue and talk about food allergies, which caveat to everybody, Sophia and I were already kind of planning for this.
Mhm.
So we were kind of planning on having a tangent about the food allergy realm because it does impact our eating, does impact the way we eat in my family. But, Sophia, do you guys have any like rules or like structures around eating and meals other than trying to get any high calorie meal you can get into your
Oh
kiddo?
my god, we took such a detour, I completely
Yeah.
forgot my question. So thank you for asking. We would have just ended it here.
I know.
I was a lot more strict with my first.
Mhm.
I didn't give him refined sugars or refined carbohydrates. Everything was a lot more. I try to be as healthy as possible.
Mm.
And I actually made my own chicken broth.
Which tastes so good though.
But also once I had a second child, it's hard to keep up that kind of restrictions. It's
Yeah.
hard to keep it because when Tove is eating a lollipop,
Yeah.
my rule was I didn't want Tove or Uri to be eating refined sugars until they were 2.
Mhm.
Once in a while is fine, but I didn't want them to have like a daily lollipop
Yeah.
before they were 2. And then after 2, that's when I really relaxed because before they turn 2, I really want them to not rely on that craving for sugar
Yeah.
because sugar is addictive.
Yeah.
It is.
100%. Totally.
So that's what I was trying to avoid. But now, every time after a meal, Tove gets a special treat. We
Mhm.
call it a special treat. And so I'm doing everything wrong, quote unquote, because I know the idea was that every food is supposed to be neutral from the dietitians and the child psychologists or whatever, that food is supposed to be neutral. Like some even advocate for serving dessert with your meal. I've
Mhm.
never been brave enough to do that,
I have done
especially
that
with
before,
Tove.
and honestly, I don't know what people are talking about. They'll eat the dessert and they won't eat the meal. So I'm like, I forget
Yes,
it.
yes. And with Tove under eating, I want to get as much nutritious
Yeah.
food into him as
Yeah.
possible. So if I serve him a meal with a lollipop, he's going to eat the lollipop and he's going to be full.
Totally.
Plus that sugar, there's something that satisfies your palate and then you don't have
Yeah.
the appetite for savory food
It
anymore, right?
changes your palate. Like it
Mhm.
changes your ability to taste things well. So everything doesn't taste as good either. So you like, yuck. Why would I eat steak when I had just had this crazy coating of sugar on my tongue now?
Right. So in a way, I guess I still have that food rule until year 2. I really try to limit refined sugar. But then now, right after dinner, Tove is eating a chocolate. Tove is eating a popsicle. Tove is
Yeah.
eating a lollipop. And
Udi's like,
Udi's just
what is
like,
this?
what? Well, when she was younger, she didn't know any better.
Right.
But then now she's super conscious. She's really conscious of what Tove is eating. She's conscious of what I'm eating.
Mhm.
And so she's like crying, screaming, whining, wanting what he has. So now I let Tove share it with her. But then at first she was satisfied with that, but now she's like she wants her own.
Yeah.
So I've definitely relaxed that rule quite a bit.
It's so much harder when you
Um,
have your second because they see what your
yeah.
oldest is doing and they learn pretty quick. Like he has something that looks yummy and I don't have it. What is this?
Why? It's because ingested,
Yeah.
right? But also, both David and I like treats.
Yeah.
In fact, I have a whole basket full of snacks. It's like only for me. After the kids go to bed,
Yeah.
I will show you that basket one day. I used to have an ottoman
Yeah.
that opens and
Oh,
then it's like
it's like
right
storage
next to the
ottoman.
blanket,
Yeah.
but mine is like filled with snacks because my in-laws came over and they were looking for blankets. They loved it. I mean, it's filled with food. I was like, what?
You're like, we're in a war and we actually have to hide our food now.
I'm definitely not like I can never eat sugar.
Right.
Um, and I personally eat a lot of treats. But I thought I had it hidden pretty well because it's in the family room, it's up on top of the closet. But one day, it was really quiet.
Oh.
And Tove happened to be in school because he's in school twice a week. And it was just Udi and like, it's like, this is remarkably quiet. Because sometimes I just let her roam around.
Yeah.
She's like, it's like 20 minutes and it's very quiet. And then I finally find her with the whole basket. I do not know how she found it. Just open all the contents. Like she somehow ripped it
Amazing.
open. She's like, mm. So I'm like, oh, great. Okay, you just ate like a week's worth of sugar.
Oh my gosh. That's like I remember Tig. I have two favorite memories of Tig when he was really little. His first one was like when he was barely like just army crawling. And like he knew the crinkle of chips and like he knew the crinkle of like yummy bags. So Tyler and I, we would just like go to the pantry just to see if we could entice him and we like crinkle a bag and you wait 30 seconds, you keep crinkling it and you just hear da, 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 da.
The bell ringing for
Yeah.
me.
And then he just comes straight into the kitchen. He just stares at you like, Nadu.
나도 좀 주세요.
Yeah. And then like the other one is like when Kian got to have his first ice cream from an ice cream shop for the first time for his third birthday. Tig, obviously I didn't give it to him because he was only one. I'm not gonna give him like a scoop of ice cream. And it's you just see this hand coming out. Like in the video, you just see this hand coming in, like trying to scoop, like try to grab with his hand Kian's ice cream. Kian's just like, no, keeps eating, no, keeps eating, and you see this hand coming in. It's really
It's
hard.
like blocking it off, yeah.
Yeah, and then at a certain point, he was like, and then Kai just had a meltdown because he's like, ah! But it's hard. Like once you have like multiple kids, they see what the older kids are eating, and it's like
Yeah.
you can do your best to like limit it, but you also can't.
Again, and then one more thing that we don't have control over. I mean, let me tell you what Tove ate today. He had rice with ketchup, maybe some blueberries. For lunch, he had 3 strawberries and 1/4 of an apple.
Okay, he got fiber.
Oh, he did wake up at 5 a.m., so he had a little bit of milk, like 3 ounces.
Mm.
And then after lunch, he finally got hungry. Music to my ears when Tove tells me he's hungry.
Yeah.
It's like, yes.
You're like, what would you like?
Yeah, I made him an oatmeal with heavy cream.
Mm-hmm.
He had maybe half of it. I ate the rest. And then for dinner, he had rice with ketchup. I honestly, though, I give him like a variety. Like he has a whole tray and I give him the same thing that we all eat, but he will eat what he wants.
Yeah.
I come for it.
At the end of the day, they still eat what they want.
Yeah. I've learned to just be satisfied with, do you have enough calories for the day? Yeah.
Yeah.
I still care about nutrition, but my main focus is just, do you have enough calories? Which is why I let him have a sweet treat after every meal.
Yeah.
So after breakfast, he had a lollipop. After lunch, he had a popsicle and a cookie. And after dinner, he had a chocolate.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I get you want to build healthy habits, but you also like want to build like healthy habits to like sugar. So I feel like giving them the access to it in a controlled manner that isn't restraining it, only giving it to them in like certain moments. And at the end of the day too, like if you truly can't control what your kid is eating, at least if they can hit the calorie intakes in a day, like at least you're like, all right, at least they got calories. Was it like some of it coming from like a candy and a popsicle? Sure. But you know what? At least they hit their calories for the day.
Yeah.
And honestly, at this point, he's still eating, ketchup is like,
It's a
it's
serving of vegetable.
yeah, he got tomato, he got some vitamin A in there, right? He got some vitamin C. And also from what I've heard at work, like fruit is where they get most of the minerals.
Mhm.
So vegetables are just nice to haves, but not necessities. It's like mostly for fiber. He gets some minerals from vegetables, but mostly from the fruit. So I'm like, he got his minerals for the day. He got some fiber. He got
Yeah.
his rice carbs.
Yeah, my rule is that I always do expose him
Yeah.
and give him the option of other food. And sometimes, you know what? He would actually eat a whole cup of broccoli.
Yeah.
He was just, for whatever reason, one
His
day he
body
just
just
loved
craving it for
broccoli.
some reason.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then sometimes he would just eat the carrots. Sometimes he would eat the chicken or
Yeah.
the meat, which for him is a hard thing. Like he doesn't really seem to like meat.
Yeah,
which is
Tyg is
weird.
not a big meat eater, and I'm kind of wondering if he's going to grow up to be like a vegetarian because we give him meat and he'll take like a couple bites, but he'll eat it in the form of plants. Like he'll eat it in tofu, he'll eat it in nut butters and stuff like that, but he won't eat like chicken or steak. No. And Kian, yeah, same thing with Kian. It's like we can always tell Kian's going through a growth spurt because he'll all of a sudden for an entire week, he'll eat every protein serving and then ask for doubles. And we're like, that's crazy. And then he won't eat meat for like another month. And then all of a sudden he'll like eat. So it's like always interesting to see kids when they get random craving, like random surges. And you're like, what's your body telling you?
Yeah, your body does kind of know, it seems like, intuitively know what it needs.
Yeah.
So I just have to trust that with Tove too.
Yeah.
But also, it seems like everything is toxic. Like I just found out that apparently tea bags have microplastics.
Yeah, the tea bags itself. Yeah.
At this point, I just give up. I'm like, I'm just going to eat and trust the Lord because everything, if you look deeply into it, like everything is poison.
So I would love to know because like I've gone through the microplastics deep hole and everyone shows like, oh, everything has microplastics, right? Like if it has water, it had microplastics, like kind of deal. And everything has microplastics and all that stuff. But they also show that your body excretes it. Yes, our body still holds it because it's micro, but it like also shows that our body excretes it. So like no one's done a study to actually study how much of the microplastics are being excreted out of the human body.
Yeah,
So
how much does it actually remain in the body and affect it? Yeah.
Right. So because like people are like, oh yeah, we see microplastics in the brain and like in our body, and yeah, it crosses the placenta, which is insane to think about. But like also, if they did a study and they're like, oh, you know what? But your body actually excretes 90% of the microplastics, then I'm like, my body is doing a great job at getting rid of. Yes, it's 10%, and yes, we still have microplastics in the body, but if our body is like efficiently removing it and it's like getting rid of 95% of the microplastics, then like game on.
Yeah.
You know?
I hope so because if I look at what my kids ate, they ate poison. Rice apparently too, it has arsenic.
Yeah, rice is high in
Right?
arsenic.
I mean, I washed them really well, but then
It has to be boiled out. They say you remove the arsenic if you actually, you know how people do basmati rice. When you cook basmati rice, you parboil it and then you dump the water out and then you reboil it again. But I found out that's actually how you're supposed to remove the arsenic. But yeah, rice has arsenic. Brown rice has more arsenic.
yeah.
But it's only California grown. So a lot of people I know actually buy their rice from Korea, like actually direct import because Korean made rice.
They're hella expensive.
No, I saw it. I was like, isn't it like 40 like a tiny little bag? And I was like, hell no.
Like, I would love to only buy pasture-raised chicken and grass-fed beef, but I'm looking at the price and like, how do you justify spending so much? I can't. And I was telling my pediatrician, I was like, did you hear about the arsenic in the rice? Because she's Korean. And she's like, yes, my kids eat rice. We're Korean. We eat rice. She's like, if you want to feed your children rice, just do it. So I feed my children rice and I also let them drink herbal tea out of a tea bag.
Ian's very fancy and likes his steeped in a teapot, so I actually have to
goodness.
open it.
What's the point of a tea bag? Seriously. What is that? You know, the ratatouille.
Oh yeah, he's a
What's his
ratatouille. Like
face?
he is.
He's
Oh
gourmand.
yeah, gourmand. Gourmand. He is. Like he loves a good tea. He loves a good tea party. He made me bake a cake today, so I had to make the chocolate, like olive oil cake that I make. And he's like so particular about the cakes. And he has such an elevated, refined
Wow, I
palate
don't
that
know
it
which
makes my
is
life
worse, having a gourmand for a son or
special.
having a son who only eat packaged things, even though he has a baker for a mother.
They're both pretty awful. Well, I think we can end on this note, and we just hope that everyone had fun listening to us talk about and can relate about the troubles and the difficulties of feeding your child. Because at the end of the day, you can't shove anything in their mouth once they're
Mhm.
past that 6 month mark and you're introducing. Even when they're 6 months and you're trying to spoon feed them, they're like, nope.
Even with breastfeeding, some kids just won't take the milk, right? It
Oh,
can be a
yeah.
trouble, or
Yeah.
they don't take a bottle, like even with newborn.
It's like the one thing they know from birth that they can control and make their mothers go
Kids
crazy
was
over.
born just to remind us of our limitations and how little we have control.
Amen. Isn't that true? Well, on that note, let me close us out. So let me pray. God, we thank you for your provision. We thank you that though we were separated from you from the Garden of Eden, that Lord, that you still gave us provision of food. You gave us common grace of all the animals and fruits and vegetables, and you gave us the gift of farming and everything that we have. And we thank you for that. And Lord, we also thank you for just the funny journey that we go on as Ummas on feeding our kids and just how you teach us humility through the practice of feeding our children. God, I just pray that if any of us are struggling through feeding our kids, that Lord, that you will lift any anxieties and stress, perhaps shame or guilt that any Alma who's listening may be carrying, and understanding that we are all trying our best, that they are trying their best, and that Lord, that you have the ultimate provision over their children. And Lord, that you are going to be looking out for them. So I just pray that if there are anxieties, that you would lift that for them and that the Amma would find encouragement, not only through you, but just us as well, through Sophia and I just talking and knowing that they are not alone in food struggles. We thank you for the goodness in what we can find in the food that we do eat, Lord. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Until next time, Ummas. Bye. Thank you so much for listening. If you've been liking our episodes, please follow, like, subscribe, or leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. We'd love to connect with you and hear your thoughts and feedback. You can find us on Instagram at The Old Umma Club, or reach out to us at theoldummaclub@gmail.com. Gotta give a big thank you to Kevin MacLeod for our music. Until next time, Ummas, may the Lord bless you and keep you sane, hydrated, and fulfilled the way only He can.